Hey, this is Rick from Social Good Software. In this short guide, I'm going to be sharing with you how to create a checkout flow, and we're going to be walking through every step here. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. So if you have not seen the previous video to this one where we talk about a high-level overview of how the checkout flows are composed, I would highly recommend you to go back and watch that video so you can kind of get an understanding here what we're going to be doing here today. So let's go ahead and dig into the actual problem that we're going to be solving with a checkout flow. Like I mentioned before, a checkout flow can target specific items being purchased, and then this checkout flow will be triggered based on the item being purchased. So let's go look at an item, and then I'll explain to you what I mean here. So the item we're targeting here is going to be camp, and more specifically, we want to target any camp that's being purchased. So if you go here, we enter 1. You will see here's the camp and all the information about the camp. And more specifically, what we want to do is we want to say wherever there is a registrant 1, go ahead and replace registrant 1 with parent guardian information. And the reason we want to say that is because we've been getting a lot of people filling out this form with the kids information instead of the parents information. So we're going to go ahead and change this a little bit so it goes ahead and shows the parent guardian information instead of registrant 1. So let's go back over here and let's create a checkout flow. So we're going to go here and say add a checkout flow, and it's going to ask us for a name. Now you can name it anything you want, and then click next. And then, like I mentioned before, here's our 3 options that we have. We can match it exactly. So if we only want this checkout flow to run for 1-day camps, we can just say 1-day camps. Or if we want to say to run on every item that has a camp, we can run that as well. And then our other option is to say does not contain value. So if you want to run this for every form that does not have camp in it, you can do that as well. So I actually want to say contains because there's different camps and we want to be able to have this checkout flow work with all those different camps. So I'm going to say contains value, and then you can go ahead and put in the value. Like I said before, we only want camp. And remember, keep in mind that the value is case sensitive. So if it's camp lowercase, make sure you use lowercase. If it's uppercase, make sure you use uppercase. In this case, it's uppercase, so we're going to use the camp with lowercase c. I'm going to click next here. Now we have our 3 options. We can select where we want this checkout flow to run. We want it to run specifically just on the checkout page, and we don't want to go ahead and run on other pages, just this one. Now, going to go ahead and give us a couple of notes here. Here we go. And then now we have a couple of options on what we wanted to do. So we can write our own JavaScript code here that's going to be triggered on either on page load, which is this option here, or on every time the JavaScript gets reevaluated. So this typically happens when a user makes a AJAX request with all true after the page has loaded. So this is exactly what we want, because if we come back over here, we refresh this page, you'll see here at this point we don't know what number they're going to input until they input the number. So I'm going to go ahead and just type in 3, and then I'm going to go ahead and register, and you see here it goes ahead and puts in registrant 1. If we go down here, we have registrant 2, and so on. So what we want to do is we want to say run this code after you have inputted the number here. And this is what this dynamic JavaScript code means. So just run this code after they put the number in. So I actually have the code here, so I'm going to grab this code. Here it is. I'm going to paste this in here. And all this code does is it goes in here and it renames registrant 1 and renames it to parent guardian. So it does parent guardian, and then it keeps the 1 and it keeps the colon and then this value as well. So that's pretty much all this little JavaScript rule does. I'm pretty happy with it, so I'm going to click next. Now you can do the same thing here for the cart page if you want to make any changes there. Same thing again in the cart page. If their cart items change, if they add a donation, that type of thing, you can listen for that as well. And then finally the confirmation page, and then here you get the option to enable this rule. So I'm going to go ahead and enable this. I'm going to click next, and then I'm going to get an overview here of kind of everything we walked through already. So I'm pretty happy with it. So I'm going to go ahead and click create checkout flow. and that goes ahead and creates the checkout flow. Now at this point, the checkout flow has been created, and you can actually go ahead and test it out and see if it works. So let's go back over here and let's refresh this page. And I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna select one, I'm gonna click register, and then you can see here, now it says parent guardian 1, and you can scroll down, and then you will see that there's only currently 1. So if you come back up here and we type in 3, update the quantities, you can see here parent guardian 1, and then here's parent guardian 2, and there we should have one more parent guardian 3. So that's pretty much all this checkout flow does. Renames that label from registrant to parent guardian, and that's pretty much all it does. And every time they go in there and they change the quantity, so if they go down to 2, it goes ahead and renames it again and again, because these are kind of new items being added every time they update this value here. That's pretty much all there is to the checkout flow. If you do find any errors inside the checkout flow and if it's not working, I recommend you to go here and debug the code you're working on here. And if you still can't get it to run, or if there's some more issues, I'll recommend you to just disable it and enable or disable, because once you kind of get going, you'll see that you'll get 10, 20, 30 different checkout flows created, and they will all be running on those specific pages. So just keep in mind to keep this a tidy workspace. Only have rules that you need. If you're no longer using them, trash them. If they're no longer being maintained, or if they need notes, make sure you update them, just so when somebody else comes in here, they can quickly read it and understand what's going on with each of the checkout flows. So that's going to go ahead and do it here for me. If you have any questions, make sure to reach out. We're always happy to help.